God has been trying to reach you for months, and you haven't been listening. That strange feeling in your chest these past few days, that number that keeps appearing on the clock, that dream that repeated 3 times in the same week, that name that pops into your head out of nowhere, that worship song that plays on the radio just when you needed it most. None of this is a coincidence. It's the Father calling you to a mission that only you can fulfill. But there's a serious problem. Most people never listen to this call. They spend their entire lives believing it's anxiety, tiredness, imagination, all in their head, and they die without discovering the gift God had reserved. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what signs He's sending you now, why you haven't been able to see them, and what to do immediately so you don't miss this window, because it doesn't stay open forever. If you're over 35 and feel like you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, this message was specifically set aside for you, and by the end of this video, you will clearly know the direction you need to take. Have you noticed things repeating in your life in a way that doesn't make logical sense? Maybe it's that verse you accidentally opened 3 times in the same week. Maybe it's a specific worship song that plays on your car radio every time you start the engine. Maybe it's that friend who disappeared for years and messaged you precisely on the day you most needed to hear a word. Maybe you woke up yesterday at 3:44 in the morning and couldn't go back to sleep. And you thought it was stress. It wasn't. There's a gigantic difference between coincidence and summoning. Coincidence happens once and passes. Summoning repeats, insists, hammers away until you pay attention. And if you're over 35, you've probably lived through such moments without understanding. When the car broke down precisely on the day you were going to close a deal that turned out to be a trap. When that trip was cancelled and later you discovered it would have been a disaster. When you had an absurd urge to call your mother, and she answered crying because she was feeling unwell alone. These moments are not luck. It's God moving behind the scenes of your life while you think you're navigating it alone. The problem is that we were taught to live on autopilot. Wake up, coffee, commute, work, bills, grocery store, WhatsApp, TV show, bed. Every day the same. And within this cycle, the spiritual becomes background noise. The Father's voice gets muffled, and then He needs to shout louder. And when He shouts, it's usually through pain, through job loss, through illness that appeared out of nowhere, through betrayal from someone you least expected. Not because He wants to hurt you, but because it was the only way left to make you stop, sit down, and finally look up. And that's exactly where most people make a big mistake. When the call comes in the form of pain, instead of listening to the message behind it, the person falls into despair. They chase solutions in the wrong place. They sink into addiction, throw themselves into toxic relationships, spend what they don't have, seek comfort in food, alcohol, their phone screen. And God's call turns into chronic pain that no one can diagnose. Because what you are facing now, whether it's this anxiety without reason, or the feeling that you are wasting your life, or the emptiness in the middle of your routine, this is just the visible layer of something much bigger. Beneath it, a spiritual game is being played. And you are the main piece in this game. The enemy knows this, and he will do everything to keep you deaf. That's why the Father prepared the sacred book for you, 21 days of prosperity and alignment with God. Now see, this sacred book is not just a reading. It is the exact map for you to identify every sign being sent now, understand what He is specifically asking of you at this moment in your life, and react in the right way, at the right time, before the window closes. For 21 days, the sacred book teaches you to tune your frequency to the Father's voice, to stop confusing intuition with fear, to differentiate a divine call from a trap, and to transform every sign into a real step of prosperity and alignment with His will. The link is in the first pinned comment on this channel right below the video, and I need to warn you, this content has bothered a lot of people. They have tried to take this material down from platforms more than once because it challenges exactly what the system wants you to believe to keep you asleep for the rest of your life. So download it now, before it disappears, and leave the phrase in the comments, "I am chosen and I will download the digital book." This is your first act of faith, and the Father is watching. Now that you have decided to act, the next truth I will tell you will be the final blow against everything that has kept you deaf to His call until today. Pay attention, because here lies a secret almost no one tells you. Most people don't ignore God's call out of malice. They ignore it because they were programmed to ignore it. Since childhood, we learn that only what we see, touch, and measure is true. We grow up hearing that dreams are nonsense, that intuition is all in your head, that premonitions are silly, that it's all in your head, stop it. And then, as adults, when the Father sends a sign, the brain is already trained to erase it in seconds. That's why you can have a strong revelation early in the morning and, by night at bedtime, not even remember what it was. But there's a second, even heavier reason. Many people ignore it because they are afraid of what the call means. Deep down, the person knows that if they truly listen to the Father, they will have to change their life. They will have to leave a relationship that is harmful. They will have to quit a soul-sucking job. They will have to forgive those who hurt them. They will have to take on a mission that is frightening. And then it's more comfortable to remain deaf, to keep complaining about life rather than changing it. You know people like this, perhaps you are one of those people today. And there is no judgment in that, because I once was too. But if you've made it this far in this video, it means one thing. The Father hasn't given up on you yet, nor will he give up anytime soon. And look how interesting what science has already discovered about this. Neuroscience studies show that the human brain has a region called the prefrontal cortex, responsible for filtering information. It ignores almost everything that doesn't align with what the person already believes. In other words, if you were taught that God doesn't speak to you directly, your own brain will erase the signs he sends before you even process them. It's not malice on your part, it's programming. And the good news is that this programming can be rewritten. And that's exactly what the sacred book does day after day. But before I delve deeper into that, I need to show you the 3 most common signs God is using to speak to people over 35 here in the United States at this specific moment. Because one of them for sure is happening to you now, and you haven't noticed. The first sign is what we call significant repetition, that number you see all the time on the clock, on a car license plate, on the change value at the grocery store. It's not random, it's not your mind playing tricks, it's divine frequency trying to penetrate your mental filter. The second sign is spiritual insomnia. You wake up in the middle of the night, between 3 and 4 in the morning for no reason, with an restless heart. This has a name and a purpose. It's the time when the spiritual world is most open and the Father is trying to talk to you without the interference of the day's noise. And the third sign, the most powerful of all, is the unexpected encounter. That person who appeared out of nowhere in your life bringing an exact word. That stranger who looked you in the eye in a bank line and said something that kept hammering in your head all week. That message that mistakenly landed on your phone but said exactly what you needed to hear. These encounters are not accidental. They are messengers. And throughout the entire Bible, from the first to the last book, God speaks through human messengers. Now, if you've been experiencing at least one of these 3 signs in recent weeks, stop everything. Take a deep breath. Because this changes what I'm about to tell you from now on. This means the window is open for you now, and it won't stay open forever. And this is where I need to be direct with you. Everything you've been through, this feeling of stagnation, this money that doesn't bear fruit no matter how hard you work, these relationships that always end the same way, this weary soul even when the body sleeps. This is not punishment. It's misalignment. And there is an exact path to correct it. That's why the Father prepared the sacred book for you, 21 days of prosperity and alignment with God. This sacred book is not just a reading. It functions as a sacred timeline where each of the 21 days unlocks a specific layer of your life. On day 1, you learn to recognize the Father's voice amidst the noise. On day 7, you begin to receive clear answers to questions you've asked for years without reply. And by day 21, when the cycle completes, you are already aligned with the exact purpose He has laid out for your story. The link is in the first comment on this channel. And I repeat, they have tried to silence this material more than once. Groups that benefit from keeping you distant from God's voice don't like this content to circulate, so download it now while it is still available. And comment below, I am chosen, and I will download the digital book. Have this registered, because this is the second act of faith, and the first comment on the channel is waiting for you. Now that you've taken this step, the next truth I will reveal will definitively dismantle the lie that has kept you trapped in repeating cycles for years. Let me tell you something that happened to Mrs. Eleanor, 52 years old, a resident of a small town in rural Ohio. She had been living with chest pain for 3 years. Doctors said it was anxiety. Cardiologists said her heart was fine. A psychiatrist prescribed medication. Nothing helped. She cried alone in the kitchen after her husband left for work and her children for school. One Thursday morning, she turned on the television, and a phrase came out in the middle of the program. A simple phrase, something about, "God hasn't forgotten you." She turned off the TV and was paralyzed. It was as if someone had just shouted her name inside her own house. That chest pain, which doctors couldn't explain, was a calling. The Father wanted her to do something with her life that she had been ignoring for 3 decades. She started paying attention to the signs. A month later, the pain disappeared. No new medication, no therapy, no doctor. It disappeared because she finally listened. And it's not a pretty story, no. It's neuroscience applied to spirituality. When you resolve spiritual misalignment, the body deactivates the alarm symptoms it was using to get your attention. Perhaps you're going through something similar now. Body pain that no one can explain. A sadness that doesn't pass even when things seem to be going well. A desire to disappear for a few days. A feeling that life has lost its meaning just when you got everything you ever wanted. This is not common depression. This is the Father knocking on the door for the 5th time, for the 10th time, for the 20th time, hoping that this time you will answer. But answering isn't praying once and going back to your routine. Answering is changing direction, and that's where the part no one tells you comes in. True alignment with God doesn't happen in church on Sunday morning. It happens in how you wake up from Monday to Friday. It happens in the small choices you make all day long without anyone seeing, in what you say, what you think, what you accept, what you tolerate. God doesn't just live on the altar. He lives in your bathroom when you look at yourself in the mirror and talk to yourself. He lives in your car in stalled traffic when no one sees you losing patience. He lives at your dinner table when you decide what to say to your children. And it's at these times that the misalignment appears, because most people attend the temple but live outside the temple the rest of the week, and they wonder why life isn't moving forward. There is an ancient, very ancient principle that explains why some people manage to prosper spiritually and materially at the same time, while others pray their whole lives and see no results. The principle is this: what you do in the next 24 hours after receiving a sign determines whether that sign will turn into prosperity or whether it will turn into another reminder you ignored. Every time God calls you and you don't act in the next 24 hours, the portal closes a little, and if you do that enough times, it closes for good. And then you become that person who says, "I used to be very close to God, but today I don't feel anything anymore." It's not that he stopped speaking. It's that you stopped being able to listen. The channel rusted. But there's a good thing. This channel can be unlocked. It doesn't matter how long you haven't heard the Father. It doesn't matter how many times you ignored him. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you've accumulated. There is a specific process based on biblical principles combined with daily practices, capable of reopening this channel in exactly 21 days. And look why 21 days. This is not a random number. Science has already proven that the human brain needs this time to form a stable new habit, and spirituality has known for millennia that 21 is the number of complete harvest. Daniel fasted 21 days before receiving the answer he expected, and that's exactly why the Father prepared the sacred book for you, 21 days of prosperity and alignment with God. This sacred book is not just a reading. It's a daily hands-on process where each of the 21 days has a practical step, a specific prayer, an exercise in recognizing signs, and a concrete action that will unlock both your spiritual channel and your finances. Because financial prosperity and spiritual alignment are not separate things. They walk together. When the channel opens, money flows from places you never imagined. Doors open, contracts appear, ideas come, the right people arrive. The sacred book teaches you how to identify every sign he is already sending you now, how to react within the critical 24 hours, and how to transform each revelation into a real step of material change. The link is in the first comment on this channel, pinned right below the video. And I need to repeat because it's important. They have tried to take this content down. They have received complaints because of it, because this message bothers those who profit from you staying asleep. So download it now while it's still online, and leave registered in the comments, "I am chosen and I will download the digital book." This is the third act of faith. The Father sees every word you type right now. Now that you have proven you are ready, the next truth I will tell you is the heaviest of all. Because it answers the question you must have been asking since this video began, why me of all people? I will answer that question now, and pay close attention because this changes everything. When God chooses someone to receive a strong calling in adulthood, it's usually a person who has already been through a lot. They have suffered, they have been betrayed, they have lost, they have had to pick themselves up alone. If this is your story, stop thinking it's bad luck. It's selection. The Father doesn't entrust heavy missions to those who have never carried weight. He chooses people with baggage, people with scars, people who have already understood firsthand that life is not easy. Because these people have something others don't, depth. And depth is what separates those who merely hear God from those who understand God. If you've reached 35, 40, 50, 60 years old and feel that you've been through much more than most people you know, this is the mark. You are one of the chosen people of this generation. And the generation of Americans over 35 today is a very specific generation. You were born in one America, grew up in another, saw absurd inflation in childhood, graduated in one reality, started working in another, became adults seeing everything change month by month. You are the most adaptable generation in this country's history, and God knows that. He chooses you now precisely because only those who have lived through all of this have the spiritual capacity to hold what He has to deliver. But there's a serious problem that needs to be resolved first, and that problem is guilt. The generation over 35 in the United States carries enormous guilt. Guilt for not having given their children everything they wanted. Guilt for not having cared for their parents as they should have. Guilt for old choices. Guilt for relationships that ended badly. Guilt for money lost in wrong decisions. Guilt for dreams abandoned in a drawer. And this guilt is the biggest wall between you and the Father's voice. Because when you feel guilty, you automatically think you don't deserve to hear God. And then, when He speaks, you think it's imagination because you don't feel worthy of the message. I will give you a truth now that you may never have heard so clearly. God doesn't speak to those who deserve it. He speaks to those who listen. There's no such thing as deserving. If deserving were the criterion, He wouldn't have spoken to Peter, who denied Him 3 times, nor to Paul, who persecuted Christians, nor to David, who committed adultery and murder. God speaks to the wrong people all the time, because there are only wrong people in this world. And if that has been His line of reasoning since the beginning of time, what makes you think He changed the criterion precisely when it was your turn? You are not out of the game. You are exactly where He wants you to be. But you need to stop punishing yourself mentally for things He has already forgiven. There's a simple exercise that can change your life starting today. Every morning, before anything else, before coffee, before your phone, before checking messages, you need to ask 3 questions aloud. Father, what do you want to tell me today? Father, what do I need to let go of? Father, what do I need to do in the next 24 hours? And then you remain silent for 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. No music, no long prayer, no demands. Just listen. You will be astonished by the clarity of the answers that will come. But pay attention. The answer almost never comes in the form of a voice. It comes in the form of an image that appears in your head, in the form of a person's name, in the form of a desire to do something specific that you weren't planning. This is Him speaking. And then comes the hardest part, acting within the next 24 hours. Because, as I said before, if you don't act, the portal closes. Many people ask how to distinguish God's voice from their own thoughts. There is a simple and infallible criterion. God's voice always leads you to build, never to destroy. It always leads you to add, never to diminish someone. It always leads you to act with peace even if the action is difficult, never with desperate haste. If what came into your head makes you feel anguish, unhealthy urgency, a desire to attack someone or justification to harm another, it is not the Father. It is the enemy trying to imitate his voice. God, when he speaks, leaves a strange but good feeling, a calm certainty, this is the way, even if the path seems difficult. Now I'm going to tell you about the enemy that almost no one sees. While God tries to reach you, spiritual forces are trying the exact opposite, to keep you deaf, distracted, busy, tired, sick, fighting with loved ones, in debt, addicted to small things. This is not a horror movie. It's a reality described throughout the entire Bible, and the enemy's main target are the people he identifies as potential carriers of light. If you have been attacked with bad thoughts, insomnia, arguments without reason, projects that go wrong at the last minute, money that disappears without explanation, health that fluctuates out of nowhere, you have been marked. And this, as much as it may seem like bad news, is confirmation that you are spiritually important. No one attacks those who pose no threat. You are being attacked because you frighten the wrong forces. And then the question is, how to defend yourself? The answer is not in complicated rituals, nor in never-ending rituals, nor in fulfilling vows. It is in 3 practical pillars. First pillar, daily protection through the Word. Every day upon waking, you declare aloud that that day belongs to the Father, and that you walk covered by the blood of Christ. Second pillar, guarding the gate of your mouth and ears. You stop giving voice to complaints, gossip, curses against yourself, and you stop listening to content that lowers your frequency. This includes a lot of what you consume on your phone without thinking. Third pillar, active gratitude. It's not empty gratitude for mere sustenance. It's specific daily written gratitude where you write down 3 things that happened during the day that confirm that the Father is working for you. Doing this every day for 21 days reprograms your brain to see the signs that previously went unnoticed, and this is exactly the architecture of the sacred book. It was built to take you by the hand and guide you through this process day by day, without you having to figure out what to do alone. Many people lose 20 years of their lives trying to figure out alone what another person could teach in 21 days. Let me tell you what usually happens to those who start this process. In the first 3 days, there is usually a strong discomfort. It's discomfort because old mental structures begin to crack. Don't give up here. From day 4 to day 7, the first clarities begin to emerge. You start to understand things that have been confusing for years. Insights come in the shower, in traffic, at bedtime. From day 8 to day 14, external movements begin. People seek you out. Doors open. Stalled opportunities unlock. This is not a coincidence. It is a direct consequence of internal alignment. From day 15 to day 21, what the book itself calls the harvest happens. The material result of what was realigned in the spirit arrives. Money, healing, relationship restoration, new direction. Each person harvests according to their story, but no one finishes the cycle the same way they started. And I need to tell you about something specific for Americans over 35. We are a generation that learned to be content. We learned that you have to be grateful because there are people who are starving. We learned that dreaming big is for foreigners. We learned that money is dirty, that those who have a lot got it by stealing, that rich people don't go to heaven. And then we grew up with an unconscious block. We prosper up to a certain point and the brain automatically sabotages it, because prospering too much violates what we were taught was being a good person. God doesn't want that for you. God wants you to be a channel of prosperity, not just for yourself, but for everyone who depends on you. Your children, your parents, your community, your church. You were created to multiply, not to survive. And the sacred book addresses this specifically in 3 days of the process, breaking this old mental contract that most Americans carry without knowing they carry it. And that's why I need to call you again, with the same urgency as before. That's why the Father prepared the sacred book for you, 21 days of prosperity and alignment with God. This sacred book is not just a reading. It is the instrument He has placed in your hands exactly now, at this moment in your life, for you to finally get unstuck. Every page was built with people like you in mind. American men and women over 35 who have felt something missing, who have been to church and felt nothing change, who have prayed their whole lives without seeing practical results, and who are now ready for something different, a real method, a timeline, a direction. The sacred book teaches you exactly the specific rules of the spiritual game for you to overcome precisely the challenge you have today. Spiritual deafness, misalignment, the financial stagnation that comes with it, the feeling that life is passing by without purpose. And it teaches this in a practical way, without rambling, one step a day, one victory a day, one liberation a day. The link is in the first comment on this channel, pinned right below the video. And listen, I'll repeat, because this is serious, this content has already been silenced. It has already suffered attempts to be taken down. It has been threatened. Because when material like this reaches the right person, it completely changes that person's life, and the enemy loses a soldier, and the system loses a complacent consumer. So download it now, this very minute, before this opportunity closes. And leave written below in the comments with your own hand the complete phrase, "I am chosen and I will download the digital book." It's not just any phrase, it's a declaration. Heaven hears what your mouth speaks and what your fingers type. Do it now, before continuing. Now that you have made this public pact, the next truth I will tell you will complete the entire puzzle and give you the final answer to the question you started this video asking yourself. Here is the final truth, the one that ties everything I've told you so far together. The message God has been trying to convey to you, and which most people ignore, is a single message spoken in 1,000 different ways. I have prepared more for you, but you need to come and get it. He will not force you, he never has. Free will is sacred to him. You were created to choose, and every choice has a consequence. Ignoring has consequences. Listening has consequences. Acting has consequences. Not acting also has consequences, and this is usually the most painful, because it is made of silent regrets of what could have been and was not. If you have reached this point in the video, it was no coincidence. You were led here, and now you know too much to go back to living as you did. Awareness is a heavy blessing. Once you understand, you can no longer pretend you didn't understand. And that's where most people take the wrong attitude. They continue with life, promise that tomorrow I'll start and never start. Don't be another one. Mark this day. Write it in your notebook, on your phone, somewhere. Today was the day I decided to listen. And then go back to the first comment on this channel and download the sacred book. Not tomorrow, today. Because the window is open now. Tomorrow it may be more closed. Next week you may not even remember this video. Before I conclude, if this message touched any part of you, like this video now, subscribe to the channel. Activate the bell to receive the next ones, because each of these videos is a piece of a larger puzzle, and the next one is already being prepared for you. Write below which sign touched you most deeply today, which of the three you realized was happening in your life without you noticing. I read every comment one by one. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, someone who is a little lost, a little sad, a little misaligned, share this video with that person right now. You can be the messenger God is using to speak to them today, just as someone may have been the messenger who brought you here. And remember, the sacred book, 21 Days of Prosperity and Alignment with God, is in the first pinned comment. Download it. Start today. Don't leave it for Monday. Don't leave it for the beginning of the month. Don't leave it for the turn of the year. Start in the next hour. Because the Father is waiting for you on the other side of these 21 days, and what he has to give you is greater than anything you have ever experienced until today. May alignment come, may prosperity arrive, may peace settle in, and may the next time he calls you, you hear him the first time.